Welcome to your new adventure in home brewing with Mr. Beer. Your Mr. Beer home brewing system includes an 8-liter keg fermenter, a lid, a spigot assembly, a packet of no-rinse cleanser, yeast, a can of hopped malt extract, and a bag of Mr. Beer carbonation drops. Most kits also come with enough 740 milliliter bottles and caps to bottle your beer. If your kit didn't include bottles, you'll need to collect enough bottles and caps to hold about 8 liters of beer. Any bottle that previously held a carbonated beverage will work great. In addition, you'll also need 3 gallons of water, a 1-gallon container, a 3-quart or larger pot, a can opener, a measuring cup, a large mixing bowl, and a metal or hard plastic spoon or whisk. To make the brewing process even easier, you may also want a bottling wand and adapter, a temperature strip, a flashlight, and a spatula. To assemble the spigot, place the washer on the spigot with the beveled edge facing out. Then insert the spigot into the fermenter and attach the nut from the inside with the wide, flat edge facing the inside keg wall. It's a good idea to test your fermenter for leaks before going any further. Fill it about halfway with water and put it on a dry surface while we move on to sanitizing. Sanitation is the most important step in the brewing process, as it ensures that bacteria and wild yeast don't find their way into your beer, creating off flavors. Make sure your work area and you are clean before you begin. The thing to remember when sanitizing is to sanitize any surface that will touch your beer or brewing utensils in any way. To sanitize your equipment, first fill your clean, empty fermenter with warm water to the 4-liter mark on the back. Sprinkle in half a pack of no-rinse cleanser and stir until it fully dissolves. Once dissolved, your sanitizing solution is ready to use. Sanitize your fermenter by sloshing it around and flipping it over so that no surface goes untouched. Don't worry if some of the solution leaks from the lid. There are ventilation notches in the top of the fermenter that will allow excess CO2 to vent during fermentation. Let the fermenter sit for 10 minutes, then slosh it around again. Thorough sanitation is the foundation of great beer. Now it's time to sanitize your utensils. First, fill your large mixing bowl with sanitizing solution. Sanitize your utensils by placing them in the bowl and then sloshing them around to make sure all of the surfaces get sanitized. Empty any remaining solution from the fermenter. There is no need to rinse. Once the no-rinse cleanser has been dissolved, it turns into hydrogen peroxide, which sanitizes your equipment. After that, it continues to break down into a simple combination of water and minerals, which are non-toxic and healthy for the yeast. Flip your utensils and agitate them again after 10 minutes to make sure they are thoroughly sanitized. Don't remove them from the bowl. That will be their resting place during the brewing process. Now it's time to brew. In order to make beer, you need 4 ingredients: malted grains, hops, yeast, and water. Mr. Beer provides the malt and hops in the form of hopped malt extract. Brewing is the process of combining hopped malt extract with yeast and water. The yeast ferments the sugars in the malt and produces alcohol and carbon dioxide. Remove the yeast packet from under the lid of the can and put the can into a bowl of hot water to make the extract easier to pour for the next step. If you have ordered a refill that includes a pouch of LME or liquid malt extract, put that in the bowl as well. Pour 4 cups of water into the pot and bring it to a boil. Once the water is at a full boil, turn off the heat. Now open the bottom of the can of hopped malt extract. Pour the extract into the hot water. Pour slowly and stir constantly until the extract is fully dissolved. Use the spatula to get as much extract out of the can as possible. If you ordered a refill with an LME, add it at this time as well. Next, fill your empty fermenter to the 4-liter mark with refrigerated water. Now, carefully pour your mixture of hot water and malt into the fermenter. Top off the fermenter to 8.5 liters with more cold water. Once the fermenter is full, stir vigorously to mix well. This mixture of unfermented beer is known as wort. Finally, sprinkle the entire yeast packet evenly onto the surface of your wort. Then screw on the lid. Store your fermenter in a dark place with a steady temperature between 68 and 76 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 to 24 degrees Celsius to begin fermentation. It's crucial to ferment your beer in the yeast's proper temperature range. If it's too cold, your beer won't ferment. Temperatures that are too high will cause your yeast to produce off flavors. This is where your temperature strip can be helpful. Remember that the ambient temperature is not always the same in different parts of your house. If you have an ice chest sitting around, put it to work as your fermenting chamber. It's perfect for the job because it's dark inside, watertight, has handles for easy transport, and is insulated, which will help keep a steady temperature. In 1 to 3 days, you should be able to see the fermentation process begin. Use your flashlight to see into the fermenter. The liquid will become opaque and milky, and you may see foam on top and bubbles rising from the bottom. As the fermentation progresses, a sediment called trube will accumulate at the bottom of your fermenter. These are all signs of a healthy fermentation. After the first few days, you may notice that the foam and activity subside. Don't be alarmed. Your fermentation has simply settled into a steady pace. The yeast is still at work, slowly finishing the fermentation process. Allow at least 2 weeks to ensure that the process is complete and that your beer is well clarified and ready for bottling. Don't open the lid during this time. Your beer will likely be ready to bottle in 2 weeks, but you want to test it to be sure. Take a small sample and taste it. If the beer tastes sweet, first check that your fermentation temperature is warm enough, and then let the beer sit for a few more days in the fermenter. If the sample tastes like flat beer, it's bottling day. If you detect a slight green apple or yeast flavor at this point, don't worry, those are normal and will subside with age. The first draw is usually cloudy, so allow it to sit for a few minutes to let the cloudiness settle. You'll need to sanitize your bottles first. Empty the remainder of the no-rinse cleanser into 1 gallon of warm water. Shake until it's fully dissolved. Once the solution is ready, distribute it evenly among your bottles. Then cap and shake each bottle so that the solution coats the inside. Take a 10-minute break, then come back and shake the bottles again before uncapping. The ring at the bottom of the cap will stay on the bottle, but don't worry, it's meant to do that and doesn't have any effect on the bottle's seal. Empty the bottles into the large mixing bowl and sanitize your bottle caps before placing them back on the bottles. Remember, no need to rinse. Now you're ready to bottle your beer. To carbonate your beer, add 2 Mr.Beer carbonation drops to each 740 milliliter bottle. For other bottle sizes, refer to the chart on your screen or your instructions. The yeast remaining in your beer will convert the sugar into CO2, which carbonates your beer. Once you've added carbo drops to each bottle, fill each bottle from the fermenter to about 2 inches from the top. Cap each bottle and invert it once to make sure the cap is secure. Store your bottles upright in a cool, dark place at the same temperature you fermented in. If the bottles are stored at too cold a temperature, the carbonation will take too long or won't happen at all. If the temperature is too hot, the beer will pick up off flavors or turn stale. Let the bottles sit for a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks to allow full carbonation and some flavor development. You'll know your beer is carbonated when the bottle becomes firm to the touch and remains firm after refrigerating. You may notice some sediment in the bottom of your bottles. This small amount of live yeast actually helps the flavor of your beer continue to develop over time. After the beer is carbonated, it's best to give it at least 2 more weeks before opening to allow the flavor to mature. This step can be done in the fridge. Regardless of how long you choose to condition your beer, it will always taste best if chilled for a few days before drinking. Open it up and pour slowly, at an angle, into a chilled glass and enjoy. Cheers! You are now a home brewer. You'll do yourself and your future beer a huge favor if you make sure to thoroughly clean all your equipment immediately after each use. You cannot properly sanitize equipment the next time around if it hasn't been properly cleaned first. Disassemble your spigot and then clean each component of your home brewing system thoroughly with warm water, a soft cloth, and our Craftmeister Brewery Wash or a clear unscented soap. Air dry, and then store your system in a dry, clean place until you're ready to use it again. And now you're not only a home brewer, but a responsible one as well. Happy future brewing! Your new Mr. Beer home brewing system is totally reusable. Mr. Beer sells the supplies you need to make a nearly unlimited array of beers. There are hundreds of ingredients and refills from which to choose, as well as specialty yeasts, hops, and equipment. Visit MrBeer.com today.